Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. And now, celebrating 15 years of broadcasting, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, whether you're tuning in on the radio dial here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM or through WYADonline.com. We're glad you could be with us. Also, those tuning in through online affiliates around the world, including iHeartRadio and Conversations Radio Network. We're really excited to welcome actress Eden Brolin to our program today. We're going to talk to Eden not only about her journey as an actress, but what it's been like for her to slip into the skin of a variety of characters, including with her new movie that's about to come out called Bloodbound. We'll talk to Eden about this project, what it was like for her to work with the talented cast, and also what she hopes you're able to take away from it. Now, if you're just now catching up with Eden, we'll let you guys know at the end of our segment how you can find her online. But Eden, hello to you and welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you so much.
Hey, real excited to speak with you, Eden. You are beginning 2019 in a big way, right? I mean, there's nothing like a movie launch to kind of kick off the year. I mean, but you've been able to do some amazing work even before Bloodbound. I mean, you've been able to be a part of television projects, movies. What has this journey been like for you, Eden, to do what you love as a storyteller and to see the response from your audience?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because Bloodbound was actually only... I think it was only my second feature, so we did it back in 2014. So it's been kind of a long time coming, and it's interesting to be seeing it released now and being available to people. I think after the 15th or something like that. I think that's the date. But it is really like nice to because you never know what's going to happen with the films that you're on, if they're going to end up being distributed or not. And
right.
So I think you kind of let that expectation go a little bit, and then being able to see something actually get distributed is really nice. And I'm looking forward to, letting people see this story for sure. And, the talent of the director, Richard LeMay, he's great. But yeah, it's been kind of interesting having done that, having worked on Bloodbound when it was, in production, and then having so many years go by and being able to kind of develop as an actor and as a person, and then seeing it come out now. So, yeah.
Right. I tell people I've been doing the show for 15 years, Eden, and I still do not like to hear myself. And anytime I'm somewhere and I hear my voice for a promo or something, I kind of cringe a little bit because I think we all are our own worst critic. It's interesting hearing you talk about doing this now some 5 years ago almost, right? And now, of course, to be able to be where you are today. What is it like for you, though, to see the growth?
Firm believer in, of course, I think we all get a little bit self-conscious, and I'm kind of the first person to watch myself or, listen to myself do interviews or something and find what's wrong with it. But I'm also a firm believer in really in not putting down your early works and respecting the fact that there is a progression in any artist or just person's life that I think deserves kind of respect. And because I have seen a lot of artists and directors too that are so ashamed of their early content that they'll literally just delete it, and you're just like, and so if it's project after project and the thing before you're just deleting, then you won't have a body of work, So it's interesting, but I definitely believe in having respect for your own progress and, baby steps.
Right. For sure. And I think those baby steps definitely lead us to where we're trying to go. Of course, you haven't been doing a lot of deleting, Eden, because we're kind of able to stay connected with you through social media. That has been one of the interesting things that has evolved, even since the time you actually did Bloodbound, the impact that social media has, especially Instagram, which you really seem to love. What has that experience been like for you to have that real-time interaction with your fans along the way?
It's been really interesting and helpful because I think at most, I don't know, just helpful in the way that, like, it's nice to know that people are actually watching the content that's out there. It's obviously not at the volume that, like, you know, that so many other projects are and fan kind of interaction, but at the same time, like, I did this show a little while ago that was on Freeform, and it was so much fun to, like, live tweet with the fans during the episodes, because they would have us live tweet, and it was just so fun to, like, see that people were into this story and the characters and everything, and that was just kind of a fun way to be like, oh, that's cool that, like, people actually watch this. Because again, like, I'm the first person to be like, I'm terrible, people are going to shut off their TV the minute that they see me, but, like, it's a fun way to kind of hype yourself up a little bit and be like, wow, this is cool, like, people are enjoying this. So it's nice to see that. I don't know, it's I'm sort of indifferent to it, but I'm also you know, wildly grateful when it comes to knowing that people are like, devoted to following the projects that I do, even though I'm pretty much nobody. But yeah, it's fun. Yeah, you know.
Well, you know, it's funny you said that, because I think what is interesting, though, Eden, I think there are so many people who can relate to that feeling. However, I think that's what makes you relatable. I mean, I think that is, you know, even as I was preparing for this segment, and I promise you I was preparing and not stalking you, but even as I was preparing you for this segment, one of the things I noticed was so interesting about the comment is how people, they like being a part of the experience. I mean, does that make it less lonely for you, Eden, knowing that there are people who are enjoying even what might be looked at as the simplest of things?
Yeah, I mean, it just makes me happy. It's surprising in the way that I feel like my life is relatively mundane, but it makes me happy that somehow it can, you know, that other people might be able to enjoy that. But yeah, it's nice. I mean, less lonely, I don't know. I mean, I don't find myself being too lonely, but it's, you know, it's nice, that kind of weird, like, distant kind of those acquaintances that you make on social media, especially. It is comforting, and it is special, you know. It's something to take note of. Right. And I think that's one of the cool things about your sharing. I want to say, for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome Eden Brolin to our program today. We're talking to her not only about her journey as a storyteller, as an actress, but also her newest project, that's new to us at least, that's coming out on January 15th, called Bloodbound. So let's get into the story, because I did find a connection that I think is so interesting to some of your other work, Eden, and that is the idea of family, right? The idea of good and evil in some form or fashion, but also right and wrong when it comes to decisions. When you look at projects that you choose to be a part of, are those some of the things that you look for as a connection to the character to kind of say, this is something I want to be able to do? To be totally honest, I'm kind of at a point in my life and my career where I am not super choosy about the projects that I decide to do, because I do kind of, I'm hungry for everything right now. You know, it's like, you know, I just am at a point where I don't have a career enough to ruin, you know. So I kind of I let myself dive headfirst into sort of everything that ends up coming my way. It is always nice to look at characters that I have respect for and kind of find interesting different character traits that can define them, but and how their circumstances have led them to where they are, but at the same time, it's not something that makes me choosy about the projects that I do, to answer your question.
Gotcha. No, I get it, and I appreciate that. I will say this, too, about the connection I saw, too, with Bloodbound and some of the other work that I've been able to see you do, and that is, the idea of everything is not as cut and dry, right? I mean, the theme, and I think, again, the movie's going to be out in video on demand on January the 15th, but I think what people will see, even if they watch the trailer, that, there is a whole thing about loyalty, right? And the whole thing about right and wrong, as I mentioned earlier, can sometimes be relative. You've been able to work with some amazing people in bringing these stories to life. What has that experience been like for you, Eden, to see how you all have kind of created these families on screen?
I mean, it's amazing. And I think one thing that I really love about acting is the fact that there are going to be different variables on every project that you work on, and that's going to affect differently how a product, turns out, or how an experience turns out in general. And I just think that that's so interesting that you can take one script and put it in a certain place with these certain people that are working on it. I'm a little bit sick, so my brain's a little bit dead right now. But that you can put the story in a place with certain people and have a certain director on it and have, a certain type of weather during the shoot or whatever, and that it will turn out one way. And then if you change those circumstances and variables completely, that you'll have a totally different movie. And even though that's kind of a general view on it, I just think the idea of that and how much detail goes into making the product that somebody might see on their screens. I just think that's really, really interesting, just how much goes into it and how different that it could be, if those variables were changed even a little bit. It's just really exciting to me. But it is great. I mean, it has just been great being able to work with all the different people that I've been able to, and just the different talent, and how on every set, it's a different dynamic with people. Not every set is going to be like, oh, we're a family, we hang out outside of work, it's great.
Right.
But how you can find something special even within that, even if you don't have a familial kind of rapport with everybody on set, that there is something special even within that, Yeah. Sorry if that was not very concise.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's fine. But I mean, and I think that is the thing I think that people see, even outside of the storyline. I mean, as a nerd that I am, Eden, when I'm watching projects, especially when I'm going to be interviewing a lot of the cast, I look at the themes more, even as much as I look at the story. And I think that's one of the cool things. You experience the same type of camaraderie with Beyond. I wanted to actually read a edited version of an Instagram post you made on March the 30th of 2018, when it was announced, of course, about Beyond not continuing. There were 2 points in this post that I really appreciated that I wanted us to talk about, because I think it goes to the appreciation. I want to talk to you about that, about the overall journey. You said, you wanted to thank the dedicated fans that watched and joined you guys from week to week. You said it was such a joy to be a part of this show, and you appreciate this growing experience, you wrote. And then you said this just means there's even more sweet, I'll say, stuff in the future onwards. So I want to ask you about the perspective, because there are some people, Eden, as you know, unfortunately, and we see it a lot online, do not share a very optimistic view of the future, especially when things don't go the way they would like. What helps you to stay optimistic?
Honestly, I think I have come to a point in my life where I have enough hindsight that I've realized that if my life were to have gone any other way in those times where I was really, trying to create a trajectory for myself and have goals and be a certain kind of actor and, seeing myself as a product, I wouldn't have had my life go any other way than it did. And so I think hindsight is incredibly helpful, but I also am somebody that believes in being right where you're supposed to be in that moment. And that things happen the way that they happen for a reason. And don't get me wrong, I was sad to see that show go. I was sad to see disappointed, the few disappointed fans that there were. And also sad to see the other actors be upset and disappointed by it. But I think it's always important for me to remember that the things that are happening are that way for good reason. And I know that, in another 5 years, I'll look back on that and realize that it was maybe the best thing ever, or just something that happened. I don't know. I think you just got to follow, your just what comes in front of you, and it's going to be okay no matter what,
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
what a great outlook. I think that's a great way of looking at life, Eden, and I think it helps us. I know I've had to grow into that myself, to be quite honest with you. Because especially when you invest so much of who you are into something, it's so difficult sometimes to see it. And that can be with a relationship, with a job, or, so many different aspects of life. So let's talk about this as we wrap up here, the what's next. As you said, even in the beginning of this conversation, Eden, you did Bloodbound, the film that we now can see January 15th. For our friends, of course, our partner is Amazon.com, but you guys can see it video on demand, of course, through your favorite streaming site. When you're kind of looking at where you are and look at what you've done, what is it like for you to think about where you want to go?
I think I've done some really amazing projects that, unfortunately, like Bloodbound, I don't know if you'll be able to see for a few years, or if at all. But I have gotten to have some really, really amazing experiences, which I'm super grateful for. So I'm trying to remember how the question was phrased. Remind me. Just about the what's next. What is it that keeps you looking to the next thing? And I bring that up. Let me say this. I bring it up because a lot of times when people have done great things in the past, they kind of say, okay, well, I did that. I'm good. So what is it that kind of keeps you looking forward to that next thing that you can say, I did that? I honestly, I think it's the expectation that, nothing that I do is ever going to be released, ever. And so, okay. I mean, the show is obviously a different thing, but I do a lot of indie films, and indie films can sometimes take years and years to get to get finished and to get distribution or anything of that sort. So I've kind of gotten used to, because I think at the beginning I was like, oh, I can't wait for people to see this project and for people to like it and everything. So I kind of just got used to doing projects and dedicating my whole self to it and doing the best work that I possibly can, and then letting it go, because nobody has seen a lot of the work that I've done, and I've just kind of been okay with that. And so I think that kind of keeps me going, that there's not this expectation of oh, well, when this gets released, then X, Y, and Z will happen. It just is all I can do is take on what's in front of me, and hopefully, I have a couple projects coming up that I'm really stoked for, and I just look forward to what else comes in my path, and hopefully can form a little bit of a clearer trajectory based on that.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Well, it definitely gives us something to look forward to next, Eden, so I appreciate that. Again, everyone, Eden Brolin has been our guest. Great conversation with you, Eden. We've talked to her about her journey as an actress, as well as about her new project called Bloodbound that'll be available on demand on January the 15th. As you heard her mention earlier, it's the newest by Richard LeMay, so you guys definitely want to look forward to that. And, Eden, let our audience know, how can they stay connected with you?
Twitter, I think, too. It's just Eden Brolin, EdenBrolin.
Right, so make sure you guys are staying connected with her. We'll make sure to tag it for those joining us on the podcast on iHeartRadio for sure. Eden, thank you so much for this time. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to our next conversation together.
Thank you so much. I do, too, and have a great day.
You do the same thing, Eden, and we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. If you all came in late, you missed part of the conversation with Eden, don't worry. Thanks to our online friends, you all can catch the replay right after we go off the air. The link is already available through our social media sites, so head over to Facebook.com/Cyrus Webb or go to Twitter.com/Cyrus Webb. If you click on the link there, you can listen to the show completely for free and share with your friends from there, too. Want to thank our good friends at October Coast for setting up this conversation with us for today, and thank all of you all for tuning in. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Let's make it a great one.